season. Chemtank is an OP item, all the good junglers are using it, but Riot are not actually nerfing the item. Instead, they're nerfing some of the champions that use it best, which means that Vi can still use it. Chemtank is so good on Vi for one simple reason: Vi Q actually has a 15% slow when you charge it up. If instead you use Chemtank first, that slow is removed, taking away one of Vi's weaknesses, and making her engage with Q much faster and longer range. In fact, you're still faster than normal walking speed. The range that this item gives Vi for her engages is insane, and she buys it around the same time Vi as a champion starts to power spike, making her mid-game even stronger. But the build is not the only thing this player needs for Vi to work in Season 11. Our player also has a very special playstyle to ensure success. You could call it a flowchart. Starting at level 1, our Vi wards a jungle opening and then bases for Sweeper. This one is a 200 IQ ward that actually avoids enemy Sweeper if they run through to your red, but you still see them. You should always base for Sweeper on a jungler, as it helps you find out when you are on vision and when you are safe to gank. A gank, if you're on vision, can lead to a waste of time, or even worse, a counter gank, which can even lose the game at high elo. Our Vi then has one jungle path that maximizes Vi's strengths. Starting on the bottom side of the map, he does red buff with Leash and then Raptors, positioning carefully on this spot to land an AoE spell on all of the small ones, then repositions to land the AoE again. Then he does Wolves, Blue and Gromp. He never uses health potions for this clear. Vi's clear is very healthy, so avoid the urge to use them. This leaves him level 3, right as the crab spawns, ready to take it fast, with his Q getting rid of the shield. Ideally, next Vi goes right to bot crab, then starts his path again, starting at golems, throwing Raptors next, then Wolves and Gromp again. This leaves him a couple camps away from level 6, Vi's biggest ganking power spike, and level 6 is the point he wants to get to as soon as possible every game. At level 6 he goes right onto Dragon and solos it with his shields. Again, Vi really takes 0 damage, even against the air dragon, which is the one that attacks the fastest. This focus on Dragon might be surprising, but it is something Vi as a champion specializes in. She can Q over the wall to get in unnoticed, do the Dragon quickly, staying high HP, and then Q away at any time she needs to. Teams who take the first Dragon average a 63% HP, which is the one in solo. And level 6 is the point she wants to get to as soon as possible every game. At level 6 he goes right onto Dragon and solos it with his shields. Again, Vi really takes 0 damage, even against the air dragon, which is the one that attacks the fastest. This focus on Dragon might be surprising, but it is something Vi as a champion specializes in. She can Q over the wall to get in unnoticed, do the Dragon quickly, staying high HP, and then Q away at any time she needs to. Teams who take the first Dragon average a 63% win rate, so this Vi focuses heavily on it, and it does not stop there. Vi can continue to do this throughout the game, giving his team an extra win condition at all times. Laners always expect taking Dragon to be their jungler's job, and finally, for this one champion, it actually is her job to do it. What if you're against a stronger early game jungler, or just cannot contest top crab? In low elo or against a slow clearing jungler, top crab should always be free, because the enemy jungler won't get there in time. In high elo, this Vi sometimes has to give up top crab. Here's a good example for his top side clear. Same camps in the same path, Blue to Gromp to Wolves to Raptors and red. He sees that his mid lane is very pushed in under tower, so can't help with the crab, so instead this Vi goes to bottom crab instead, before going into a flanking bot lane gank, which does work. No one thinks you'll be in the bush behind their tower. Jamaican is also constantly watching his lanes. If he sees an enemy overextending in their lane, he stops his normal plan and ganks them instead, with a very special Vi only path. Here Top is overextending, so he Qs through Baron Pit to avoid the ward, waits for the cooldown, and then ganks from far behind, forcing Riven to suicide, rather than give him an assist. Same thing here, he is on the normal path, then sees a gank happening top, so he runs straight there to counter it, ending with a double kill. At level 6, Jamaican has ultimate, and also most likely has cooldown boots, so he's ready to start spam ganking with ultimate. The cooldown reduction Vi gets from these boots, as well as from Chemtank, and its mythic passive, which also gives ability haste, all add up together to create a new Vi, a much more mobile Vi, with her Q up more often to dash around and CC enemies. From here, think of her style like an Udyr, speeding around the map, farming to get Chemtank, and then ganking as often as she can. An Udyr is still one of the best junglers this season, but there is one big difference between her and Udyr, and that is her ultimate, which makes ganks much more effective, as well as much longer range than Udyr could ever do. Also, her Q is better CCs than Udyr's, because it acts as a knockback, which can interrupt jumps or dashes. Flash Q is a very important extra strategy to learn on Vi. It gives her a big range extension, and a surprise factor to get kills. Start charging your Q, flash just before the full charge, and release Q right away. You can also do the harder version, where you release Q and flash afterwards to redirect it. It's much more surprising for enemies, and can only be dodged if enemies predict you're going to do it, using their flash first. Team fights, again, are more complicated than you expect on Vi. People assume she can just use her ultimate on a carry in the backline, and then your team will follow and kill them. But if you go in on the backline alone, most of the time you'll get focused down and give the enemy team a free kick before a fight. This Vi basically never plays Vi like you expect her to be played. Instead, he focuses on using his ult and Q on the front line, fighting as his team's main tank. If he lands an ult into a Q, their front line is dead to his team's damage. If he goes in on the enemy backline, 90% of the time, their backline don't die, especially in solo queue, and as damage gets higher and higher in League of Legends. 1 second in a group of enemies is death, so you cannot go in and tank it while waiting for your team to arrive. This playstyle is also not full damage Vi. You are not attempting to one-shot someone, you're aiming to stay mobile, stay alive, and keep CCing enemies, like an Udyr with knockups instead of a stun. Here's a great example, which also shows how much damage this build does. Baron fight. Vi ignores the Talon on the side, queuing instead onto the main focus of her team, the Nautilus support. Kennen TP's in, Vi ults in to let her team heal back. Vi keeps autoing, DPS. Talon then ults in, so Vi saves her Q again to CC Talon and heal for her team. Q lands on Talon, she dies in the big group. From there, Vi uses her insane damage to win this fight, going target by target. This is the kind of fight you would never expect a tank to win, but in Season 11 they always do, especially thanks to the shielding Vi gets. Here's another really good peeling team fight. Rell gets an engage, Vi follows it, not going on the Aphelios in the backline, who he could reach if he wanted to, instead preferring to stay in range of his team's damage. Vi sees Rek'Sai going for a backline dive, so he leaves his previous target, instead ulting Rek'Sai and killing him instantly with his team. Now back to the main fight, using Q to chase and finish off Viktor with a flash Q, securing his team a Baron. Even in early fights, he is doing the same thing. Here Thresh gets a great hook. Vi could get over the wall and ult Thresh to one-shot him, or engage onto the carries next to Thresh, but instead, Vi makes a weird play, ulting Renekton as he is the closest target, who will soon try and dive Vi's backline. Vi ults him and Qs afterwards to full chain CC, as well as knock Renekton into his team. Similar to an Insec, just a bit shorter, but in a way this combo is actually better than an Insec. It CCs for longer, and doesn't kick Renekton onto the Varus, so Renekton doesn't even get a chance to get a kill before he dies, he just stays locked in place. There is one final really useful way this guy uses his ultimate, again, not to dive. Here, Vi makes a mistake. Mordekaiser ults, and Vi cannot help his team, so Vi tries to go into the backline, almost dying. To escape, Vi has one option, use ultimate to reposition. He ults Mordekaiser and gets back to safety. Kai'Sa has to ult in to chase, and ends up getting CC'd to death. If he had ulted Kai'Sa instead here, Vi would have died quickly afterwards, and Kai'Sa would have won the fight. Do not fall into the trap that playing Vi creates. You are not a diver. If anything, you're closer to Janna than you are to a Talon. Your damage is so high that your utility is more important. Keep this peeling idea in your mind every fight, and your win rate will keep going up. For his build, he starts Red Smite and Refillable. An ideal first base is Boots and Balmy Cinder, otherwise he rushes Ionian Boots first for 900 gold. They are the most OP boots right now, being built in every role except AD Carry, and they fit this style perfectly. First item, Turbo Kentank. Second item, he goes for Starrick's Gauge most games. This really keeps him alive in fights unexpectedly. The HP gained on the shield scales off your maximum HP, so it synergizes well with Chemtank. As any jungler, your goal should be to win the game by 2 items. As a tank jungler especially, more items actually equal a weaker champion in comparison to the full damage champions, who only get stronger. Any more items will be situational. For example, if enemies have a lot of healing, get Bramble Vest into Thornmail. If enemies have a lot of magic damage, you build Spirit Visage, but Force of Nature will be a great item too. Black Cleaver is his final item to help his team get through enemy frontline, but of course you should only get this if they have armor and your team has AD. Here's his runes he takes every single game, and he has taken the same one for a couple seasons now, so they must be pretty good. These give him enough damage as well as survivability to stay relevant as both a tank and a damage dealer. I'm playing Vi on stream right now to show this playstyle off, as well as playing lots of off-meta picks from all my videos, live every day at 12 PM GMT. By the way, only 21% of people who watch my videos are actually subscribed, so please subscribe if you enjoyed. Lots more high quality off-meta videos coming out every week. Like the video if you enjoyed, thanks so much for watching. Veigar, the classic burst mage, now turned into a full tank by some crazy solo queue player. Veigar support has been played in pro play, including by G2 recently, but this Veigar has something even more special up his sleeve, and there is one huge meta-breaking reason this champion is so good in support. This video is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Have you ever wanted to watch a specific TV show or movie only to find out it isn't available in your country? ExpressVPN lets you control where you want sites to think you're located. You can choose from nearly 100 different locations, giving you access to content that isn't available in your region. I live in the UK, and can't access a lot of really great movies because of strange licensing issues. But I was able to quickly use ExpressVPN to swap to being from the USA and watch what may be one of the best movies of all time, The Dark Knight. Here's a whole list of shows that aren't available in the US that ExpressVPN would let any Americans watch too. ExpressVPN is also great for internet safety. It encrypts all of your network data and tunnels it through a secure VPN server, so that your ISP cannot see any of your activity, and neither can anyone else, including ExpressVPN. Sadly, every site you visit, video you watch, or message you send gets tracked by your ISP or other tech companies, who can then sell your information for profit. But ExpressVPN makes it much more difficult for them to track your data and sell it. So get the most out of your streaming services today at expressvpn.com/chime, and if you use my link, you'll get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. Now back to Vgar. Our Vgar player today is named Transcendent Wizard, and they've actually gotten 2 different accounts to Korean Master using this strategy. Mr. Wizard started playing League back in Season 1. He got into Ranked in Season 2. Korean players clearly are just built different, as he immediately became Platinum right away. Season 3, he hit Diamond, actually contesting Challenger at the time, but he was not quite able to make it. He had already begun to specialise in AP supports, using his high win rate Brand to climb at the time. His love for Brand and AP supports stayed right through all of Season 4, all the way to Season 8, where he was still holding high Diamond, but unable to push up any higher. You might think, damn, what a hard-stuck player, and you are correct. He occasionally popped up to Master, but he was never able to hold it through the highly competitive end-of-season games in Korea. Season 9, he decided to make a change to see if it could help him, testing out full AP Vgar support, the same style as his Brand. This new style he was inventing did start to work, but at the time he was hit with some real-life responsibilities, and he was never able to spend the time developing the style fully. Season 11, however, is a whole new story. As soon as the item relight came out, Wizard knew this was his time to create a new OP meta pick.
She's such a misfit, always ready to brawl. It's like her business, roughing up your friends. The law, there is no difference. If you believe you're strong, Did you ever try to further improve how fast you punch people through the roof? Oh, was there ever any certain time when you thought brute force and style combined? Well, I guess now it's time to shine, 'cause finally she's here. Here comes She's such a misfit, always ready to brawl. It's like her business, roughing up your friends. The law, there is no difference. If you believe you're strong, she's a bulldozer, making sure you're flat on the ground. She's like a boomerang that never gives up. She flies in circles till she hits you and you're bad in the dust. So just remember this: when she's chasing you down, face first, you'll be thrown into the proving ground. She'll knock you out. Have you ever really wanted to be a total rebel, flipping tables on the enemy? Did you ever try to further improve how fast you punch people through the roof? Oh, was there ever any certain time when you thought brute force and style combined? Well, I guess now it's time to shine, 'cause finally she's here. Here comes Vi. Have you ever really wanted to be a total rebel, flipping tables on the enemy? Did you ever try to further improve how fast you punch people through the roof? Oh, was there ever any certain time when you thought brute force and style combined? Well, I guess now it's time to shine, 'cause finally she's here. Here comes She's such a misfit, always ready to brawl. It's like her business, roughing up your friends. The law, there is no difference. If you believe you're strong, she's a bulldozer, making sure you're flat on the ground. She's like a boomerang that never gives up. She flies in circles till she hits you and you're bad in the dust. So just remember this: when she's chasing you down, face first, you'll be thrown into the proving ground. She'll knock you out. Have you ever really wanted to be a total rebel, flipping tables on the enemy? Did you ever try to further improve how fast you punch people through the roof? Oh, was there ever any certain time